I feel really honored to have this chance to meet and speak with Felicia Robinson. Felicia is involved with helping grow and maintain Connected Warriors, which is a nonprofit organization that helps people in the military through the realm of yoga, and I'm sure lots of other outreach programs. And so, first of all, thank you so much, Felicia, for joining me. How are you? How's your day going so far?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Oh, it's been good just getting my work done and taking care of the household and all that good stuff.
I hear you. Well, are your household duties a big job?
Um, yeah, I mean, we have a, we're slowly building like a homestead type thing. So
Oh,
got,
cool.
vegetable garden and chickens and all the animals. So we are,
Nice.
yeah, and say we just, well, like I said, we just moved down here to Manchester about a year and a half ago. So we're trying to build all that up. Yeah.
Amazing. Manchester, Tennessee, correct?
Tennessee, yes.
Cool.
Mhm.
Are you on a little bit of acreage, like an acre or more?
We do have an anchor, yeah.
Cool. Doesn't
Yeah,
it seem like that's more than enough land if you want to have a garden? Like that's actually a lot of land to maintain.
it is.
If you're, yeah,
Yeah. And say we probably only utilize about half of it because the other half is still like woodland, but it's enough for what we have for for our family. So
very cool. And you said family. Do you have children?
we do. So I have two, and then we're a blended family. So we actually have four total.
Are they all living with you at your house?
So the my two are with me,
Yeah.
and then we get the other two every other
Very
weekend.
cool.
So yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. I want to go down the road of yoga and connective warriors, but I'm just so curious. So are you is being a homesteader or growing your own food and being self-sufficient something that you've always been interested in and or doing your whole life, or is this a new adventure for you?
It's something that I've kind of grown into.
Yeah.
Um, and some of it is just, health wise, realizing that it's a lot healthier for me and my family to have, and to know how our stuff is being grown and just kind of having that. And then there's also like a sense of like accomplishment when you actually yield a yield your vegetables and stuff. And it's like, okay, cool, I did this.
That's so cool. I agree with you. That's amazing that you're doing that. I really admire that.
Yeah.
Not to take us too far off the track, because I really want to get to the heart of the matter in terms of what your role is with Connected Warriors. But first, can you define Connected Warriors and what the ethos and or mission is?
Yeah. So Connected Warriors has been around since 2010. It was founded by Judy Weaver and um, Ralph Lovino, and she had worked with an Army Ranger for who had MS. No, Lou Gehrig's disease. I'm sorry, but she worked with him for about 2 years, the latter part of his life, and she saw the change in him, working with him one on one, and being able to move his fingers when he couldn't, and and seeing that there was less pain. And then she took that and she was like, you know what? After seeing like Black Hawk Down and the Hurt Locker, she's like, I can do something with this. We can do something with this.
Yes.
And she really took that deep dive into trauma conscious yoga. And she's worked with um, several other well-known psychologists and all that stuff. She's a wealth of knowledge. But
Judy is amazing. I've had a chance
yes,
to practice with her because she lives in the South Florida area and she has
yeah,
practiced here at our studio many years ago. I haven't seen her in so long, so I'm so
she's
glad
a
to make this
baby.
connection with you and hopefully reconnect with her as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. She had, like I said, like she was excited that I was doing this. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. And so what from that was our origin of providing trauma conscious yoga to all service members, first responders, veterans, and their family members.
Very
And I would also include in that, um, caretakers as well.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
What is your connection to the military, if any at all?
Mhm. So I am a military family member. I grew up in Air Force family. My dad is retired Air Force, but he also still works civilian, going on, retirement number two. So he's still at it. And then my husband is active guard in Tennessee. So he is also a combat veteran from his active duty time in the Army.
Got it. Can
Yeah.
you tell me what it is like growing up in a military family?
Mm. It definitely has its challenges, with a lot of in and outs, but of course, some of the times that'll depend on what your parents' MOS is. Um, so there's the mentality growing up in the military is definitely a lot different. And I learned that, after I left home for a little bit and was out in the civilian world. And I think there's, not to get too sporadic here, but seeing how my kids grow up now versus how I did, because we lived on base. So everything was military. We had guards at the gate. It was very structured, very you had expectations that you you had to meet and all of that. But life
Understood.
is different in military. It's between the ins and outs of, your parent and then having one parent that has to take on both aspects when that other, your co-parent's not there. And then, having to work with the transitions of once that second parent is home. And
Yeah.
then how that person comes home might be different than how they left,
Yeah.
as far as whatever they've experienced and then how they interact with the family after that. So
Interesting.
yeah, so it's a lot. I'm like, I definitely feel like we're a little bit of a stronger kind of child.
That makes sense, right? Because if you have that
Yeah,
challenge, yeah, you've learned how to be resilient.
yeah. And then there's always that, your friends, especially when you grow up on base, it's not as bad now where your families move like every year to 2 years. And now it's about every 3 to 5 years, depending on what their MOS is and stuff. But um, you know, you might make really great friends, but then a year from now, that friend is gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, I have to start over again.
Got
And
it.
or you move and it's like, oh wow, okay, I have to start over again. And so there is this like transitory lifestyle,
Yes.
that we have. So that's probably one of the biggest things in military families
Yeah, I
is
hear that.
being able to navigate those.
Got it.
Yeah.
What role has yoga and or yoga meditation and the world of yoga played in your life?
Yeah. So I actually started as a teenager just learning out of books. Um, yeah, this is probably early 2000s, 2000. Yeah. So it was something that I just kind of dabbled with, but I knew that there was something to it. May not quite understood at that time as a teenager, but I was like, okay, I sit here, I breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely helped with that teenager, anxiety and,
Yeah.
how life is as a teenager.
Yeah.
Uh, but it definitely helped, I think, regulate me and help me through some of those transitions. Uh,
Amazing. Do you
and
do you remember what the book was? Do you remember your first
yeah,
person that wrote? Yeah, tell me.
so it was an Ashtanga Vinyasa
Cool.
book. And actually, I just gave it to my stepdaughter like a year
Nice.
ago because she's getting interested. And I was like, okay, well, this was my first one. But yeah, it was, oh, I'm like, what was her name?
Ooh,
Oh, I can't remember
I could
for the life.
start naming it. So it was a female teacher.
It was yes, it was female. Start with a T, I think.
Tara. No,
Ooh.
let me think. Oh boy. Doesn't matter. Whoever you are out there, thank you.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for taking the time to put together a book to inspire Felicia to want to get
Yeah,
into yoga. That's awesome.
yeah.
What
And then
was
I
it?
had this
What tell
little
me?
deck of cards that I would use.
Like a deck of cards that had pictures of poses on it type of thing? Or
Hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
How did your immediate family react when you said, look what I got?
They're always supportive.
Cool.
That is a, yeah, I'd say they've always been supportive of that. But I mean, like we always did sports and stuff growing up. They like to keep us busy.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
so to them, it was a good thing. So yeah, they
Yeah.
totally supported that.
What was your evolution, the next step in your yoga journey in relation to your first experiencing practicing with either a group or a
Mhm.
teacher who has dedicated their time and life to yoga?
Yeah, so I first started at a studio when I was about 21, after I moved back to California to Virginia. And I was lucky enough, there was a brand new studio that opened up. It was a hot yoga studio, actually Barkin Method. But I fell in love with it and she took me under her wing. She was like another mom. And her husband, ironically, her husband's also retired Navy, but she was great. She took me under her wing, she mentored me, and then I went off to my first training with Rolf Gates
Oh,
in
cool. I've heard so many
2018.
great things about him.
He's fabulous.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Somebody told me recently they're going to go do a retreat with him in Costa Rica soon, and it just sounded really cool.
sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
really big on, I'll say, yeah, he likes Costa Rica. But yeah, no, he's great.
And he's the author of Meditations from the Mat
From
or
that.
on the Mat, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
And then
Awesome.
his wife also does power yoga for kids.
Very
Miriam
cool.
Gates, and she does children's books and stuff for it too.
Awesome. I've never met him. That's cool. I've heard so many great things.
Yeah.
So then you got certified as a yoga teacher or took a teacher training program. Was that at that same studio or was it
Yeah.
this years later?
Yeah. So myself and then another teacher at this studio, we both went and we did a 30-day intensive. And it was intense.
Who, what, where, why, when? Where was it?
So it was in the Berkshires of Massachusetts.
Cool.
We did it and it was like a B&B basically, but it was up in the hills. It was so awesome.
Nice.
But man, we worked from 6:30 in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night every day.
That's so cool. I hear you. Like you feel like you were challenged.
Oh
It was an
yeah.
intense challenge.
Mhm.
What sort of benefits do you feel like you gained from that experience?
Not having the distractions,
Mm.
honestly,
Like the
of
30-day
home and
retreat
everything.
setting of being able to step away. Did you have
Yeah.
children at that point, or were you
No, I
still?
did
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah. I'm like, I could do that at that point.
Yeah, isn't it funny when we look back prior to before kids like BK
Yeah.
or yeah, and you go, oh my gosh, I just had no idea. Like I had so much free
Right.
time. I had so much free time, and I was still like complaining about it. And now you're just like, oh, if I just had a moment. Well,
Yeah.
that's so cool. And then so at this point, so now you're like, okay, I'm certified or I've done this
Mhm.
training. What was your first teaching experience?
So I actually had, once I came back, I had to teach my mentor for a while, for I'd say about a month before she put me in a classroom
Cool.
by myself. Yeah.
Nice.
And which was great because I was like, it was nice because I was already familiar with a lot of the students, from practicing there and getting to know them. So it was a good experience. I was able
Cool.
to kind of jump right in.
Yeah.
Um, I was lucky enough that I had such a good, mentor um, to have me, be able to go in there and have the confidence. Because I
Yeah.
think that's one of the biggest things when you start is having the confidence.
So true.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody today that the first teacher training we did was just like a one-on-one. out
Mhm.
of necessity.
Yeah.
Somebody, we needed help, and she was
Mhm.
curious, and we are like, let's do this. And I remember how nervous she was before her first class. I was like, it's
Yeah.
okay, you're gonna be all right. She was like
Yep.
so nervous. So that's cool. You broke that ice. And then what was your introduction to Connected Warriors? How did that come into your sphere?
Yeah. So, um, when I was with my kid's dad, he actually got PCS to Fort Campbell for 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment.
Help me out.
Uh,
PCS means,
so it's a permanent change of station.
got it.
Yeah. So basically, they move you to a new place.
Understood. All right. That makes sense. I just didn't know. I want to make sure I get the jargon. And
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'll let you continue.
So I actually worked on the compound with where my husband was working at, and she was offering a Connected Warriors class there. And then I had actually started teaching at one of the first studios in Clarksville. Um, and then that's how we kind of got together. And she did a training for Connected Warriors there to help build, the class offerings. And then it's just, I'm like, and then it's history. I've been with them since 2013. So
Nice. Wow.
yeah.
So you put in a good 11 years now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it is a nonprofit, and I'm
Hmm.
gathering you all try to, can you explain to me what your mission is in relation to what sort of programs do you offer?
So we offer our general consensus is the trauma conscious yoga classes that's free for all service members, first responders, and veterans and their family members. Beyond that, we do offer the Elevated Warriors program, and for that, we accept veterans and service members and first responders into that program, and it's a mentoring program that eventually takes you to a 200-hour.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So
And
training service members, learning to teach yoga in that environment, and they might have come in through the door from the free classes,
then,
feel like they got great benefit, and you've and Judy's put the program together. Is it a combination of all of your guys' efforts? How does that mentorship program look and feel
yeah.
like?
So it's been like a transitory thing as well over the years, especially since COVID. So we've actually shifted everything over to a virtual online, and then we do the final in person.
Got it.
Yeah, so they have to do all their exam and their everything in person.
Cool.
So
Got it.
yeah, and so I get to see them every week through
Nice.
Zoom.
Do you facilitate that mentorship?
I do, yes. Depending on how many we have, we have other Connected Warriors teachers that are veterans that I will link them up with, and so that they can work with another veteran.
Very
Uh,
cool.
but I do also mentor ones in particular. If they don't have somebody in that particular area or region that they're in, I'll take them on. But so they usually get paired with another veteran
Got it.
to
Got it.
mentor them through the program.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Um, how many people can you mentor at any one given time? Like what's your capacity to get this done in a way that you feel like you're making it work?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think the max is 10 that I'll take on a
Oh
year.
wow. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
five, between 4 and 6 is like the sweet spot.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's usually where it ends up being, which we've tried to kind of come up with a system to help make sure that the people coming in are actually they're ready. If they have too much going on and they're not going to be able to really maintain or potentially get too triggered during the program,
Mm,
then they need to do some work prior to coming in. So we'll work with
understood.
them separately until then.
Got it.
Yeah.
Can you shed a little bit of light on how prevalent, because you use the word triggered,
Mhm.
PTSD is in the military community?
a lot more than what they say. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more than what the percentage is out there. And a lot of that is due to the stigma of, well, if an active duty member has PTSD, if they go to, their mental health facility, they're, for those that don't want to get out, they don't want that to be a hindrance to them and their
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
So it goes undiagnosed.
Yeah.
So we really don't know the exact, percentage, the exact number of those that have PTS. Which is why, like, over the years, we've stopped adding the D to PTSD because not everybody gets diagnosed with it.
Mm.
And
I was wondering,
not
I
even
noticed that you did
exactly.
that and I was curious. Oh, PTS is meant. That's maybe how you say it, but that's because if
Yeah,
it's a disorder, it's diagnosed, and if it's not, it's still post-traumatic stress. And you're
right.
saying it's bigger than the stats are going to tell us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are I know I mean, I've had a chance to explore trauma-informed yoga. I'm curious, what's some of the key takeaways that you've learned as going from being a yoga teacher that's trained in more of like say the like contemporary style where maybe you'd be teaching to like a public class. Can you explain a little bit about what you've learned over the years of working in a trauma-informed environment and how that compares to the public environment or the
Yeah.
contemporary?
Absolutely. Over the years, especially as I've worked so much with our active duty, um, everybody experiences trauma at some point in their life. That I've kind of adopted in my regular classes, some of the same protocols that we do in our trauma conscious classes, because you don't know what somebody's coming in with.
Yes.
Now, I still may use like Sanskrit in my regular classes and teach a little bit more traditionally, but some of my verbiage will be different. And then how I communicate in my classes. Communication is like, one of the biggest things, not just talking to the person, but also how we communicate when we're teaching. Even if, let's just, like, for example, let's say you've had somebody in your regular class with that potentially had sexual trauma, and they may be jumpy, or, they just may feel unease if you're a teacher that walks around the classroom. I am definitely one of those teachers, not in my trauma conscious classes, but I'm like regular classes. I walk around, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I will verbalize. I'm going to go over here so I can see you better and so that you can see me better to demo this. Or, I have a lot more verbal if I need to make any sort of adjustments and things like that. Less touch unless I really know the student. If I can
So,
verbalize and communicate more than anything, that's actually doing them
yes.
better. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting to be so aware of where you're placing yourself in the room so that you are not just distracting or creating that sort of nervous energy.
right.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had a situation that really kind of knocked you off your balance in the sense of like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was going to be dealing with this. I don't know what to do. And then you figured out a solution in the moment. Do you have any ex
Um, I think I had one when I was teaching, and this was in a connected warriors class. I was working with the intensive outpatient program on Fort Campbell. And so I would have a set of active duty members with severe PTSD and TBI. And I'd have them for every 6 weeks, they change the group. But where I was teaching, and it was in the beginning, like I think it was like my first or second class with the one group, but I had a guy, the way that I set up the classroom and where I was standing next to him for too long. And so it triggered him. Now he handled it really, really good. And in that situation, because it's a clinical setting, I always had a therapist or a counselor with me.
Mm,
Um,
wow.
but
Wow. like just observing so that it's almost like this sense of that then the practitioners taking the class are aware that someone is taking notes on what you do. So it almost feels more like because there's another pair of eyes on the situation, it just keeps it safe.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Especially when you're
That's,
in in that clinical setting and you're working
yeah,
with somebody with severe
yeah,
PTSD.
yeah,
Um, you triggers, especially when they're in that severe state, it could be anything.
yeah,
And I don't know their whole, and it's kind of, as a teacher coming in, I don't know what all they've been through because I'm not the counselor and that's part of HIPAA. So I
yeah.
can't, so I won't know those things. But something simple as just me standing there was too much for him. And
Got
so
it.
he ended up communicating that with the counselor and then she communicated with me. I was like, okay, cool. I'll just rearrange the room.
Mm,
And so everybody can see me in the middle. And so we actually did like a U shape for the
nice.
class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that.
That's cool. I remember I went to I'm a massage therapist. I went to a massage training and the teacher had a voice recording machine and he said, okay, I'm gonna basically have a recorder on and I record what I teach so that I can go back and listen to it after just to see if like I'm feel like I'm communicating things appropriately. And I just thought, oh, it's so interesting. And then afterward it made me think, that's a really smart thing to do because then if something did go awry or there was somebody who said, you said this, or, you
Yeah.
could go back and say, no, actually, I didn't say that. And here,
Right.
and I thought, that's probably a really smart move. So even that's doubling up having obviously a therapist in the room, eyes, ears, watching, recording.
Right.
That
Yeah.
seems like that would be such a healthy thing. That would be an interesting way to work for sure.
It is. And it's nice though to just because, in that particular setting that I was in, knowing that they were in a severe um diagnosis of it, um, that counselor could, if they got triggered, they could help me.
Yeah,
There were even times like I would,
that
because
makes
the way
sense.
I would
Yeah.
teach class, I would do like a 15-20 minute modified yoga nidra with them. And um, there were times that some of them would fall asleep, which is awesome. I'm like, that's like the most rewarding thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I
Yeah.
mean, these guys don't sleep. They don't.
Mhm.
So that 15-20 minutes, I'm like, yes, like that is
That's
so
cool.
rewarding right there.
Yeah.
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 But the counselor would handle waking them up because you don't, again,
Mm.
comes down to you don't know how they're going to wake up.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
Do you have like is it very like a innate sense that you're able to pick up from the therapist that, uh-oh, I might have overstepped a boundary, and they give you a little signal, and then are you guys kind of vibing off each other during it while you're
Um,
teaching, or is it just more organic than that?
It's more organic than that. And
Oh,
usually the counselor would take class with them. So they're moving with them
cool.
as well. Yeah.
What a great idea. I'm impressed. That's really cool. I love
Yeah.
hearing about these like how you can use yoga in these sort of settings and how much benefit it could
Mhm.
be. Can you share any examples of maybe testimonials and or words that people have shared with you about how what you're doing and what Connected Warriors is doing for them?
Mhm. Oh, for sure. We hear a lot, about one, their sleeping habits, their sleeping patterns are better. They're not as agitated or as irritated as they normally would be. They're handling stress better. So the overall, and when they're able to do that, especially when we talk about like home life and that transition from, an active duty state to coming back home, it definitely helps in that transition there. And so home
Yeah.
life is better, their life is better, everybody's quality of life is better. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And then we also get a lot that, they're like, I'm not in as much pain.
Mm.
That's another big one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because even those of us that have never really suffered either a major fall, major impact, or any of that stuff, we're in a
Yeah.
lot of pain, like just going through normal day-to-day life. So I can't imagine having
Yeah,
some
no,
sort of injury that's caused
these
due to
guys,
warfare or,
yeah.
yeah,
I know, especially with Army Marines, man, their bodies get beat up. Um, all the major joints, especially knees, hips, shoulders, a lot of spinal issues.
yeah.
Uh, we see a
Yeah.
lot of that.
Where is or what is the current role of the VA system in relation to the care people are receiving these days, in your opinion?
It's progressing. Yeah. It's
In a positive way.
yes.
Got
Yeah.
it. Cool.
Um, yeah, and say they've probably in the last 2, 3 years, they've really started to embrace the whole healthcare. And so they are including the yoga into it, the Tai Chi, the meditation, all of that. So we're getting more actual outreach in with the VAs.
Cool.
And yeah, and it's kind of cool though, because like not only are they like, hey, our veterans need this, but they're also like, oh, our employees need this too, which is
Oh,
good
wow.
because we actually have a lot of veterans that work for the VAs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we've this past month actually we just started doing some employee classes for the VA in New York. So it's it's definitely, they're seeing the importance of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. I have a family member who works, he's a veteran and works in the cybersecurity side of the Veterans Administration. And so
Mhm.
he's really excited about being a part of it and
Yeah.
trying to keep the whole thing moving forward. And so
Mhm.
that's really good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. They are definitely trying to change things and try to, change things for, the better so they can support the veterans more.
I,
So I
yeah.
would say I think they're coming to a place where they're finally kind of like honing in
Yes.
on
Yes.
on that.
This is probably a really tough question, Felicia, and I want to tread lightly around it because I just really want to respect everybody's space here. And so, is I know it's probably an impossible question because everybody has their own interpretation of what's going on in the world and everything.
Right.
Do you have an understanding of the overall morale of the military currently? Is there like a I had someone recently who's connected to different military veterans that kind of said that his take was that the morale was a little low due to changes in the way the military is operating. Do you have any insight in there, or is that too persons by person orientated?
I can give my perspective on
Okay.
things. Having, you know, I come from a multi-generational military family. And seeing not just like the behavior differences, maturity differences, and then also working with some of our younger active duty members, the ones that are like out of high school, early 20s. Um, it has changed a lot over the years. Um, the structure and expectations of those that come into the military. It's a different world than when my dad and my grandfather was in. Even when with my spouse, it's a lot different. Um,
Do you feel like because I'm just guessing here, the standard has been changed
yeah.
and the standard perhaps was a little more strict, and therefore your father might look at it and go, what are they doing? Because they're not holding them to the same level of strictness that they held us, and therefore there's like a little bit of resentment.
There might be.
Okay.
I was
Just
gonna say
curious.
there might be, and I think there maybe some disappointment a little bit with that.
Okay, thank you.
Um, just standards, in my opinion, were
Thank you.
definitely held higher,
Mm,
in the earlier generations.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
compared to now.
Okay.
Even with those that are going in now, they have like a pre-boot camp to help get them in shape for actual boot camp. So, and then the mentality of kids now and how they grow up is a whole lot different
Wow.
than the older generations.
Yeah.
So, how they handle the stress of military life and of military training is way different.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they have
That
to
makes perfect
approach,
sense. That seems
yeah.
odd that it would be that way. So thank you so
Mhm.
much for elucidating that one. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different.
Cool. Got it.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. I get it.
Hmm.
Um, can you tell me a little bit about some strategy for civilian life versus active duty life balance that you're witnessing is um, necessary and or important? Obviously, yoga is a big part because if
Yeah.
you go away, you come back, it's stressful to try to adapt to a world of people that have no idea what people are going through, right? I just don't
Right.
think I have no idea, right? I can't imagine it. Can't,
Yeah.
so what are you witnessing there?
So I think with the what's the word I'm looking for? The not the difference between like civilian and military, but that transition between the two. One, for an active duty member coming out, they are used to structure. They're used to having somebody that they have to report to. Even on a Sunday, they, depending on what, trainings and stuff that they're running, they may have to do an accountable call. And so, they're used to always having to answer to somebody. And it kind of, with military culture, they create like a family dynamic. You have your brothers and your sisters and your higher ups, that's like your parents. And so you have this structure, and then when you come out to civilian world, you don't have none of that. There is none of that there.
Mm.
And then, they come out, they're hurting, they potentially have PTS, TBIs, and they have no support system. Not all of them, but some, there's a good portion of them that, they don't, especially the longer that they've been in, you know, you have this whole group that's like, okay, now what?
Yeah, you come back and like your friends have moved on, your family maybe might have moved on, or oh my gosh, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
That sounds challenging.
it is. And that's where we see a lot of them, end up in drugs or end up being homeless, because they can't transition, or, a lot of times, and the military kind of gets a bad rap for just handing over pills. And then, they come out and they don't have their health insurance anymore. They don't have that. So then they're like, oh, I don't have all my meds. And
Oh man.
it can be very
Yeah.
messy. It can be very
It's
messy.
kind of heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that people are fighting and
Hmm.
working to make sure that we get to just have this like cruisy lifestyle.
Yeah.
I know it's so hard.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness there's people like you that are like trying to make a difference and help and like
Yeah.
in the way that you can with something that's so positive like yoga and breathing and meditation. I mean, that's really amazing. Obviously, you have this heart connection to it.
Oh, yeah.
You've been in it your whole life.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that's amazing, Felicia.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that, it's close to my heart.
Yeah.
And, I see how I grew up, and, who my dad was, and then how, my kid's dad was, how my husband is, and it's like, oh, no, I'm like, we can fix some of this. I'm on board with Judy. I'm like, we can fix this.
Yeah.
We just
Let's
have to
co-
have people that are willing to do it.
let's come up with solutions, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
there's a problem, we can fix
Mhm.
this. I love it.
Right. Yeah,
I,
which is why I'm like, we have actually worked on like a transitioning program. We don't have it in play yet, but we've been working on a 6-month transition.
Mm,
program for those getting out of the military.
cool.
So hopefully it'll alleviate some of those issues that they're having. And then they still have that community, which is one of the biggest things with our classes, that becomes their new community. And we see that so many times in our classes where, if a guy doesn't show up to class, the next time he does, the other guy's like, where were you?
Yeah.
Why weren't you in class?
Accountability. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's
it,
huge.
it is because that's what they're used to. And then now that once they hit civilian world, they don't have it. So then we get to rebuild that in our Connected Warriors classes.
Mm,
And then it doesn't become any more of like Army versus Navy. Everybody is connected. And
right.
then that becomes their new family,
I
you
get
know?
it. I get it. I
Yeah.
see it now. I see the
Hmm.
vision.
Yes.
Right? So,
Yeah.
do you guys do fundraising?
We do fundraising. We do have, we kind of pull from all sorts of, ways that we can, whether it's, online fundraisers, we do different events. Um, we do have some donors that we're able to reach out to and things like that. So
Nice.
we do what we can.
So anybody listening could go to connectedwarriors.org
Yes,
and there's a donate here button.
absolutely.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Hmm.
And I know there's a Connected Warrior program, Connected Warriors program, very close to where our studio is in Juno Beach at a church, like walking distance from here.
Yes.
I've heard great things about it. I've had students, I had one of the students of the program come in here and practice, and his mom, who she goes with him to support him. And I've heard really great things from them and from that mom son combo,
Hmm.
a lot of really positive vibes about what you guys are doing. So I've
Yeah.
had direct on the ground hearing like, oh my gosh, this is a really
Mhm.
great thing. I mean, and Judy's incredible, and I've heard so many good things
Yes.
about what you guys are doing. So it's a really a pleasure to have a chance to actually speak with you and
Yeah.
hear directly like what you guys are up to. If I'm so like, how many Connected Warriors programs are there around the country right now? If somebody's listening in, say, Utah, is it something that there's a program in every state, or is it mostly Florida or in Tennessee? How is it spread out right now?
So we are across the United States. We have about 25 classes right now, kind of spread out.
Cool.
Um, it really just kind of depends on who we have out there and, getting people trained. If we have enough interest in a particular area, we'll try to reach out to some of the local teachers or local studios and be like, hey, we've had these people, request classes out here. Is this
Yeah,
something you would like to bring into your studio? We'll train you.
got it. Got it.
Yeah. We'll train your teachers. We want to be able to rebuild that. We are about half of where we were prior to COVID. COVID
Okay.
really
Half the amount of
hit hard.
teachers that are, oh man, I know that was
Yeah,
just so hard on everything, especially all the
it
nonprofits. And
was. Yeah.
okay, I am a yoga teacher, but if another person who's listening right now is living somewhere and they want to join the cause, what is your recommendation for us?
Yeah. So reach out to me.
Okay,
Email is probably the easiest way, Felicia@connectedwarriors.org. And that's
cool.
FELICIA.
Cool. I'll
But
put the link in the
yeah,
description so they can just click the button and boom, their email thing will pop up and they can write you and say, "Hey, Felicia,
yeah.
I'm interested."
Yes. And
Very
then
cool.
I'll take them from there, how they want to contribute. We have some people that are just like, hey, we want to volunteer.
Yeah,
And not necessarily volunteer as teachers, but just help out in the area for events or for, anything like that. And so some of them kind of go into becoming what we call ambassadors that help to promote the program in their area, and to help start adding classes into the area and kind of do the footwork, because we can only do so much from headquarters.
yeah, yeah.
So it's a lot easier when we have people on foot in the area that needs the classes. So
That makes sense.
yeah.
Have you seen the photography of Robert Sturman?
Yes.
Is that
We did a
amazing? Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? He's so cool. I had a chance to interview him recently, and
Oh, he's
I,
wonderful.
oh, what a nice guy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm really
amazing
excited.
images. I love the imagery that he's doing with military and police and showing them
Mhm.
practicing yoga, some of them in uniform and
Yeah.
breaking down that barrier between maybe even the idea like as a military member, like yoga, that sounds like that would be something wimpy,
Yeah.
and breaking that
It's not.
barrier down. Have you seen a little change in that sort of
I have.
appreciation for it? Even, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We definitely have. I mean, we still get some stigma in there, but once we get those guys in there, then they're like, oh, okay, I get it now. I
Yeah.
get it. Sometimes we kind of have to sell it like, hey, this is going to help your weightlifting. This is going to help your mobility for this, for your PT test.
Yes.
But once they get in, and then they start realizing, oh, I'm sleeping better. I am not as irritated, then they're hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. Kind of letting the actual culture of it change the culture versus trying to
Mhm.
force sell it. And that makes sense. I think we do that as yoga teachers all the time with everybody. Like anyone coming in, you're like, what are you interested in? I'm a cyclist. Yoga is awesome for cycling because it truly is.
Right.
I don't think yoga can really hurt as a cross training tool for any, whether it's athletic or if it's like an intellectual endeavor or even
Right.
it's like from a business realm. I think it can improve people's drive to find inspiration and
Mhm.
keep their businesses going and all that sort of stuff. It seems like it fits well with everything. Do you agree?
Yes.
I don't have
It's
to
for
sell you too hard on that
everybody.
idea. All right.
No, it is for everybody.
Yoga is
Everybody
for,
can do it.
yes. Thank you, Felicia. You know, well, this has been such a treat. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. You have a great vibe, and I really appreciate your service to the community and
Thank
helping
you.
all of us, make a better world. And
It's a
is
pleasure.
there anything, Felicia, that I missed out on, or a thought or closing words that you'd like to share?
Um, I will say, oh, just for as far as events, we have that
Oh,
art
that's right.
exhibit
I
coming
wanted
up.
to ask you
Yeah.
about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please tell me. You said there's a sound bath happening. I think you said in Boca.
Yes, at the headquarters at BRIC, which is the Boca Raton Innovative Center, I believe is what it is. Um, but we'll have a sound bath on December 8th, and I believe it's at 1 o'clock at the
Is that
studio.
something if they go to connectedwarriors.com, they'll see like an events list and it'll point people toward that?
It will be coming up soon, and then I'll also be posting it on Facebook. But it is on Eventbrite.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and it's donation based. The suggested donation is 35, but donate it whatever you can to it, and then I'll be adding the link for Eventbrite and stuff up there.
Are
So
are you going to travel down to Boca to be a part of it?
I would love to, but I can't.
Yeah. You're
I've
like,
got children to take care
sounds,
of.
yeah, yeah. And a garden and chickens. You can't really leave chickens. You think you can walk away from your chickens. You can't. You have to be.
Yeah.
And
And I was like,
then
"Hey, take care."
you told me about also before we got pushed record that you're accepting art from veterans. Is that correct?
Yeah,
What,
so
what is that?
Connected
Yeah.
Warriors and BRIC are doing a collaborative event for next year for 2025 to 2026 in their Hall of Art. And it's going to be all veterans artwork that will be set up for display. I believe you can submit up to 3 art submissions, three artworks, and then there's a whole application and stuff like that. So uh,
Cool.
yeah, so we're excited about that. We are looking to get the submissions in by December 10th so they can get everything planned and put together
Nice.
by the new year.
Is that something that art is seen as a therapeutic expression and therefore it's being utilized in the community and therefore there's a lot of uh, people that are painting and creating?
Absolutely. Like
Yeah,
it's amazing the different kind of therapies they have now.
cool.
And the VA systems are absolutely starting to embrace them even more. So
Nice.
art therapy, music therapy, equine therapy is also a really big one.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, so it's those three specifically definitely are getting a lot more attention and everything. So
Oh my gosh. Well, that's cool. And
yeah.
right, right. And then outside of the event element,
Mhm.
is there anything that if I imagine that somebody listening is military, well, maybe it has nothing to do necessarily with just military. Maybe
Mhm.
somebody's having a really tough time.
Yeah.
Any words of like optimism and or encouragement that you can leave us with?
Yeah, I think especially over my lifetime, I've definitely learned, everything is temporary. Even when we are in our heads and we think, oh my gosh, this is just ongoing, it's temporary. It's not always going to be like it is right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
great point.
you take the breath, you breathe through it, and it'll get better.
Yes.
Your mental attitude definitely um, plays a big role in whether or not we get stuck in those heavy patterns or if we're able to break out of it. But everything's a learning experience. Everything is.
Yes.
And take it with grace.
Yeah.
Which is not always the easiest because we're like our own worst critics, but
Oh, true.
it's something that you have to learn,
Yeah.
and have that same compassion for yourself as you do with other people.
Yeah, good point, Felicia. Well, well said. And once again, I thank you. And I'm so happy to have this chance. I hope I get a chance to meet you in person, maybe
Yeah,
down the
that'd be
road.
awesome.
And I really want it made me think like, I want to go over, I wonder if I'd be welcome to actually go take class with them at the Connected
Yeah.
Warrior class, even as
Uh-huh.
just like a participant, just to
Yeah,
experience what they're like. Is that a reasonable request? Is that
absolutely.
okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would say Tom is your regional for the
Yeah.
Juno Beach, West Palm area.
Yeah.
Um, he's our a retired command sergeant major.
I've
He's our
heard
toughie.
I've heard great things about
But
him. I know I heard
he's
he's
a big
awesome.
bear.
That's cool.
Yeah,
All
he's
right. Well,
great.
I want to go introduce myself to Tom.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Felicia.
You're welcome.
I'm really, yeah, I appreciate this, and I hope that somebody out there gets some benefits and
Yeah.
can help out a little bit too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm
All
like,
right,
we're always here. Reach out.
cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.